online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Banshees. Oh, we got some interesting little fun music. There we go.
Did they change it?
Yeah, no, I think that was the Helix music. Welcome back to the Banshee After Show here on AfterBuzz TV, talking about Season 3, Episode 7, You Can't Hide from the Dead. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me, Mr. Monis Rose is back. Good to see you, Monis.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, Isaac Johnson is here.
What's up, Banshees?
Unfortunately, Oriana Leo could not be with us. She's out of town, but she will be back next week. But in her stead, we do have a fantastic guest, Mr. Tom Pelphrey.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, who plays Kurt Bunker on the show. And it is so weird to see you without any tattoos.
Yeah, well, the good news is I look a lot different without them, I think you said, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're still cut. You're still like, a handsome dude, but not like tall, dark, and Nazi.
Yeah.
It's more like just tall, dark, and normal, which is great.
This is great.
Yeah. So how's your experience been since you premiered on the show? Have you been getting like a great response?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great working on the show, and then now that once episode 5 aired, some people stopped me. A guy, a doorman in the city, stopped me at a hotel. Nice. I thought he was trying to yell at me for something, but he's a big fan of Banshee, and somebody in the airport actually, when I came here, came up behind me in the coffee shop. So
that's stellar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your performance in that episode was just absolutely out of this world.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about this episode, which finally, the long-awaited heist sequence, which what an incredible piece of filmmaking.
So good.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to attend a screening of this episode with Greg Utanis on Friday, and he spoke about it before the episode screen. He was like, there's a 20-minute sequence in this episode that completely changed how I want to approach filmmaking for the rest of my life. Wow. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, like, just that it had a huge effect on him to do something so differently and creatively, and I think that passion very much shows on screen, and we'll talk a bit about that towards the end of the show. Right. But I want to jump in talking about Sheriff Hood and where he is right now emotionally. Obviously, he's still struggling with the untimely death of Siobhan. And he's living in her trailer. He's just going over the details of the case of Chayton, day in, day out, training, and it's just we've never seen him like this.
Yeah, I like the way that they intersplice all of those like cuts and like flashes of her dying, but then really powerful to have the to basically see her or think that she's there, but she, obviously she's not.
Do you feel he did the same thing with Carrie? I mean, even be like when Hood went to jail. Do you feel he's treating this a lot harder?
Because she's dead. Like, there's a difference between I may never get to see her again, and I will never get to see her again. And also, I think it bears some good comparison, Monis. I think it's an important point. Comparing this to season 1 when he's dealing with Carrie not being available. He's also still very much dealing with coming out of prison and being fresh out of the joint after 15 years.
Yeah, and the difference with Carrie would be he thought he had something to look forward to leaving prison, which he didn't when he gets to Banshee.
Right.
And in this situation, there's no hope for the future with Siobhan. She's gone.
Yeah, it's like the difference between disappointment and heartbreak. I know there was heartbreak in that, but it was more of just a shock that something would never happen, and now just that there's a person that's just been wiped away.
Right, and with Carrie, he sort of took the responsibility and took the fall, but with Siobhan now, somebody else has suffered for his actions.
Right.
Exactly. And Amy comes to him, and she's like, look, I I should have killed Chayden when I had the chance. I'm sorry. I have a CI who could help you. And he's like, whatever I have to pay, I'll do it. She goes off to find him. I want to talk about this motif of seeing Trieste, seeing Siobhan there, like her ghost still lingering, which was very effective and evocative in this episode, especially during this heist sequence where we can see what he sees, but then also seeing what Sugar sees.
Right, which is nothing.
Yeah. And I always appreciate that this show continues to take risks in how they communicate information. It's never one style. Like this heist, I feel like I'm going to keep referencing the heist until we talk about it, but I want to get through everything else first. All right, I will make that point later. So Job comes to him in the trailer, and he's wearing a Pause shirt, which you can get at Urban Outfitters.
How do you know this?
Because I have one.
Whoa! Oh, shout out!
Shameful admission that I have ever been to.
You should have worn it
Urban
today.
Outfitters. I should have, but I wasn't thinking.
No shame, man. No shame. If you love cats, you love cats.
All right, I do love cats.
Roar.
Yeah, I love continuing to see. I like Job coming to him and saying, what do you need from me? We talked about it a bit with Hoon Lee last week.
Right.
But seeing their friendship extend beyond Hood being a pain in his ass is so very, very important, especially considering how badly he screws up later in the episode.
Right. Well, I mean, you saw Job just being ready to be done with this heist. They're all too compromised. No one's in the right space. And then, Hood bringing back you asked me what I need. This is the thing that I need. And you see that loyalty there.
Yeah. Knowing that it's a bad idea to proceed with this heist, but being loyal to his friend and assuming that no matter how compromised Sheriff Hood is right now, he would never put his friends in danger just to get a thrill or to forget about what he's dealing with emotionally.
Yeah, but
and
it does put them in danger.
Totally does. It's reckless. It's irresponsible. It's unfair.
Yeah.
And it's why by the end of the episode, Job is done with him.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And justified.
Very much so. Yeah. And it's a shame to see. Meanwhile, at the caddy, Brock is wrestling with some inferiority problems, a little emasculation, perhaps, knowing that his wife is stepping out on the town with Mr. Kai Proctor, and it's really taking a toll on him. What's it like working with Matt Servito?
Oh, Servito. To paraphrase Antony Starr, Matt Servito is our Robert Downey Jr. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really warm presence on set. A lot of actors who've worked on the show always say, the guy who played Brock came up to me, introduced himself, makes you feel welcome. He's really smart. He's a great, scene partner. You can see how much energy he puts out in all the scenes he does, and he brings things to life. Funny dude too. Yeah.
He puts on a clinic every time he's on screen. He doesn't have to do that much. He just so very easily embodies that guy, and it's such an open, inviting performance. Like, I want to try to understand him, and then I do. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I like him calling Emily on the phone and kind of like a little bit of Mikey from Swingers there, like leaving your messages, like just this is the fourth message,
checking in,
someone got back to me,
and like just talking for too long. It was really cool.
And I just love watching his thought process over the course of the episode, especially once he finally gets her on the phone halfway through, and she's like, "Look, Kai and I have a connection," and
that's when he knows.
That's when he knows, and he's so flabbergasted, and she just hangs up, and there's nothing he can do. That sense of frustration, and then he looks down and he sees Siobhan's stuff in a box, and we just see him transfer all of that energy and all of that frustration to something he can accomplish, which is catching Chayden.
Well, not catching.
killing.
Yeah, killing.
Yeah.
I think he has no intention to catch him.
Fine. Taking care of Chase.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a big deal for him. I know that he killed Hondo at the top of the season, and we spoke a lot then about the corruption of this department and really the corruption of Brock. The more that beard grows, the darkness grows inside him. Hashtag Brock's beard.
Yeah.
I love it. But I don't think that would have been the first thing he went to, even a couple of weeks ago.
No, certainly not.
Yeah, I think it's, once... Do you guys think that once you've killed someone, then it becomes infinitely easier to kill again? I know that's like a big moral
Absolutely.
question.
Yes. Don't ask why.
Don't ask why.
Don't ask. Don't tell.
Well, I feel like that's definitely what's going on here. Is it's like, well, I've done it before, I can do it again, which is just sad to see because he was our rock. Brock was the rock. Yeah. Let's talk about Kai and Emily and Rebecca as well, who's making mistakes, girl.
Yeah.
So Kai goes to, he's definitely been really affected by his mother's death. And he goes and tries to join the morning service back in Amish country, and his father actually embraces him and allows him to stay, and it's a huge moment.
Yeah, we've got the preacher there giving like the message about restoration, and then like how you accept them back, like with open arms or whatever the phrase was there, which is really cool. And then also, I was wondering because he said, "Does anyone here think that there's someone that they're not?" And I'm wondering if that's pointed to Kai specifically or maybe Rebecca.
I mean, I assume that it's a Kai deal because she's not there with him.
Well, she's not, but maybe like the writers are sort of. I mean, that is what she's kind of doing. Is she thinks she's someone she's not.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Tom?
I feel like in that instance, maybe more of a Kai reference, but yeah.
But she's playing at something grander than she's ever been before.
Right, and that's what's kind of great about the way she's doing it, I think, is that there's times where she seems to fully embody this femme fatale badass, and then there's other times where she looks like a little kid who stepped in it and doesn't know what to do.
Oh, yeah, when she lights that cigarette after she's made this confident deal. I mean, granted, there were moments, again, going back to emotional editing and emotional shooting, where we know that she's not sure of herself, but she should be filled with pride that she's made this deal with Hector Morales, but more than anything, all I see on her face is relief.
Yeah, it didn't go south because it looked like it might have for a second there. She's got the cigarette, her hand shaking.
Yeah.
She's definitely out of her depth there.
Yeah. And it's killing me because I know she's doing it because she thinks it's the right thing for their business, that if she makes this deal with the Salvadorans, we can be making twice as much money if we're selling to both, but at the same time she's trying to she's pissed at her uncle for admonishing her publicly last episode, but also she's trying to prove that he doesn't know best all the time. It's like, I know things, I know that you don't know anything.
No, she doesn't.
You don't.
I don't want to, and I don't want to see her crying all the time ever. I mean, I don't want her, I'm rooting for her because I just don't want crap to, hit the fan and it to explode in her face all the time, and she just breaks down and cries and cries and cries.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen, is it is going to hit the fan and it is going to blow up in her face. I also wonder, is she maybe trying to set up shop for herself? I mean, because she's doing this behind his back.
Didn't we think she was like a Michael Corleone at some point?
Yeah, well, that's what they've said, but
I don't know. I never took it as she was trying to set up her own operation in the wake of being admonished by Kai last episode. I took it instead as, I'm going to prove that I'm worthy of your love and attention, and that this foreign woman, this stranger, she does not know you, she does not care about this business, she doesn't understand it, she doesn't want to know. I can be your partner in everything. Why are you pushing me away? To me, it was more of like a desperate lover's attempt, like a child. Like there's something to it about that. I know that we're kind of like blending lines here. Did you get any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I just like when Hector asks, "Does your uncle know you're here?" I'm like, well, he doesn't know. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, she's obviously going to have to do this deal behind his back, so if he finds out, that could be good for her.
I want to talk about this scene between Kai and Emily at dinner. where he looks so uncomfortable. And it's like, how often do you think Kai Proctor, other than when Sheriff Hood is in his business, how often does Kai Proctor have to do something that he really doesn't want to do? And it can't be very often.
Maybe never.
But also, like, this is such an ordinary, normal human thing of just being able to go out to dinner, and it's something that he maybe has never done. Because he grew up on the Amish reservation. He, was always just kind of family dinners. You ate at home. You harvested and then you ate. It's just an alien concept to him. And to have him be sort of the man on her arm is so strange.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've seen his dating choices before.
Well, if you can call it dating.
I'm just, it's a loose term. It's the loose term that I'm using, but I don't get the feeling that he's had to be romantic all that often.
That's true. When you're dealing with prostitutes and nieces, it's pretty much no romance necessary.
Yeah, it's more of a business transaction with a prostitute. This is uncharted territory, at least that we've seen at this point.
Something real. It's not just a business transaction.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom, about this plotline? Does it make sense to you that he's reaching out to this woman?
Oh, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think, with his mom and everything about Kai, he always seems to be walking a line with me where you do feel like, because Ulrich's also so good, but you do feel like this guy would like a bit of redemption if he could have it. And I think right now she seems to be offering him that route, and I love how uncomfortable it is for him, because I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I think he's scared. I think he's scared because you're right. It offers the promise of a redemption that he had long assumed was never coming.
Right.
True. Yeah.
That he maybe didn't even deserve. And we had that speech about God at the last episode where he wondered if maybe the punishment was something subtle that he had missed, and that maybe it's time for him to start trying to turn things around.
Yeah.
And we also, in this season, we're talking about loneliness. We're talking about how Sheriff Hood now is kind of isolated by his own feelings, and that he no longer has this partner that he was about to build a life with.
Right.
We have Kai, who had long since resigned himself to being alone, that any kind of real connection outside of a familial one was impossible. And here's this woman who is inviting him into something alien to him, normal to everyone else. And I think it's just great to see him scared by anything.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's got to all be foreign to him. I mean, he doesn't have a relationship with anyone. I mean, Burton.
Yeah.
It's not like a friend. He does.
That doesn't seem like the kind of guy you have coffee and long talks with.
Exactly. We're not sharing pastry.
That scene, though, I would absolutely kill to see that scene. That would be hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Burton and Kai.
Yeah.
Did you go out last night?
Yeah.
No, I stayed in as usual.
And I whipped myself on the back.
Oh. I was thinking I might go driving today.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get the car.
A lot of silence.
I'll
with
get the
that
car
movie.
ready for you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's no person he has a relationship. This is all foreign territory for him.
Yeah.
But I do like seeing him try. I think that's a cool arc for the character.
Yeah, and the scene that you just referenced where he talks about this perhaps is God's punishment delayed in a more subtle way, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was so good in that, and it was
Truly
just such
wonderful.
a smart scene.
Yeah, and then connecting that back to the scene with Brock and Emily, where she's talking about their connection, and he's like, "You're just trying to help him. You're just trying to fix him the way you couldn't fix me," and it's so very, very true, because you look at the two of them together. I'm not seeing a connection. I'm seeing someone like outpouring and projecting onto him, just basically being this shining angel, and like kind of projecting onto him that he's actually receiving anything from it. I think that he's nervous as hell. He's trying, but I can't say for sure that there's anything to them beyond attraction and a general loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, before we move on, I want to quickly talk about iTunes. You know, I say it every week. It's only because it's the truth. The best way to support AfterBuzz TV, go to iTunes. Rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. You can also go to YouTube, give our little channel a subscribe. Because here's the thing, folks. Our network puts out over 100 hours of free after-show content every single week. We cover nearly every show on the air. It's a massive undertaking, and we need your support.
Please.
Yes, your ratings and reviews and your comments on YouTube and your subscriptions help us get the sponsors that keep us on the air. It's free. It doesn't take more than a second. Doesn't cost you a dime. So why not just throw a review our way? You also get a great shout out here on the show.
Yeah, and it also helps us get some pretty cool guests on the
Pretty
show.
cool guests like Tom.
Absolutely.
Who knows that this is a quality program because it is supported by fans like you.
Yeah, we got a shout out to Ada Lewin who wrote us on iTunes. Who says just binge watch Banshee after your after show. Both are awesome. You're hilarious. Keep up the great work. And also one from Chippy says love the Banshee show. I love this show and reviews on AfterBuzz. Season 3 is better than the other 2 seasons, which were very good.
Yeah.
You guys, giving the shout outs, you guys rock. Thank you. We always want some more, so please feel free to comment like those awesome Banshees out there.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So we got a great sequence this week. So Dava, right? Problem child. Remember her with the platinum blonde hair, getting into trouble, making out with lunatics and delinquents. Terrible.
Yeah, who apparently started his own fight club.
I think he started it long ago, and it's just an excuse for him to show off how badass he is. I can take some pain.
Cattle prods, is that what those were?
Yeah, cattle prods. She is so her father's daughter and her mother's daughter. It's like it's a perfect storm because of course that would appeal to her. Think about who they were when they were young. They were wild children who had skills to steal things. Yeah. Whoever Sheriff Hood was before he went to prison, on a level, kind of a monster. Maybe not house party, drug, cattle prod kind of monster, but probably government or military trained, amoral, greedy, sexual, strong, violent guy. Killer.
Those are a lot of adjectives.
A lot of adjectives.
I guess, people say that women date someone like their father. I guess it makes sense to be mixed up with Charlie there.
And he looks so proud of himself after he's dispatched his would-be attacker, and she's just thrilled. She's like scared but thrilled. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh girl, don't you do it. Beatty, incredible friend.
Yeah, great friend to be sticking around through all this.
To be sticking around, and also to call mom and dad and say, yo, girl is up to something wrong here. Now, I feel like we talked about it, I don't know if it was the last episode or the one before, but we were talking a bit about Gordon, and I remember I said something along the lines of, I'm waiting for Gordon to reveal his role on the show going forward, or to validate his continued existence on the show, because, other than, that great scene between him and Dava and him cleaning up, I'm like, what function does he serve? He's the mayor, and he's there. They're no longer married. And seeing the two of them partner up and just take down this posse was awesome. Was fantastic. I love this pair.
Well, I love seeing them push Carrie or Anna, because it was like, oh, dude, bad choice.
Yeah, I love it.
She's looking for that fight. You know what I mean? But I didn't know that Gordon was going to be so badass.
Oh, 100%. Well, he was in the military, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Marines.
Yeah. He was in the Marines. Yeah. He's a gosh darn Marine.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's a Marine. And here's the thing. Not only did they just take these people apart, and it was a great sequence, and I think Dava was scared away from any more bad boys from just seeing this guy that she thought was cool that she was dating pull a gun on her dad. For the first time, Gordon and Carrie make sense to me together. Yeah. And not only that, what I love about them now as a pair that I couldn't before is Gordon is done being upset over who she really is, and instead has accepted the reality and finds power and sexiness in who she is.
Yeah.
Not who she was trying to be. And that's why I feel like that sex scene is so very earned. It's so very earned. He got to be him at his very best, who he has not been for a long time. She got to be who she was at her very best. They got to see each other in action and support each other in action and bring their daughter home. And I was so just rooting for them.
Yeah.
Matt, I just want to say that's the line of the show. That sex scene was so earned. I feel I want to even use that in my own life, like that. Or anyone's like that. This sex scene is so earned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's hit his true rock bottom. We saw that happen, which is also why a gun in his face didn't shake him at all. Although, I mean, also maybe the military training too. But like,
well, I knew this kid wasn't gonna kill him.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping not, because. But you know, he didn't. Like, that kid is like into like a show of violence. He's not really into violence, even though he's fighting the other kid or whatever. But like, he knew he's not gonna pull the trigger. And like, did he cry after the gun was taken from him?
I don't know, but my favorite, my line of the episode, I think, is like, holy fucking shit, that's the mayor. Right? Like, as he's walking away, it's like, fuck it, I think that's the mayor.
Oh, that was like some kid off screen.
Yeah, some kid off screen. And I'm like, that is the most honest reaction to anything I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's great.
It's like, I just watched that. Holy shit, is that the mayor? Whoa, mayor's a badass. Yeah, I just loved it.
So great.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, now that I've seen this, like, God, I wish Oriana was here, because I'm dying to hear her thoughts on it, because I know she's a huge Carrie Hood shipper, and for me, I'm just like, no, this makes sense, and it's not trouble. They can build something good together again. I now have hope, and I love how mature they are after it's over. There's no like lingering questions. There's no like stay the night. She's busy. She got plans.
Yeah,
and they just kind of like chuckle to themselves. And then he goes.
The irony, because at the beginning of this season, you know, it was Hood's life that was perfect, and Carrie's in disarray, and you know, we're a little over halfway towards the end. We're now a little over halfway, but the tides have turned. There is a huge juxtaposition now. Carrie's life is
it's being restored.
Exactly
perfect.
No, but yes, exactly. It's not where it was. So there is a huge evolution in this season, which I'm really pleased with.
Yeah. Well, then they're working towards a common goal, so that gives them that camaraderie.
And the one thing, though, to me, I was just like, they're having sex in that kitchen, and I'm just like, Max is gonna walk in 3, 2, 1, and I'm like, Max,
don't come downstairs.
Max is just like, he walks into David's room, he's like, I hear zoo noises, and she's like, shh, go play Forza.
She's like, Mommy and Daddy earned it.
Yeah, they earned those zoo noises. Awesome. All right, so Chayton's story. I hate to give it the short shrift, but you know, we do have lots to talk about with this heist.
We gotta talk to
but you know, and we got to talk to Tom. But basically, he's hiding out at this poor woman's farm, and we knew that she was doomed from the start.
Yeah,
and
didn't want it. Didn't want it, man. I thought maybe because she showed him that kindness. I mean, I kind of like, as it was happening, I was like, oh, maybe is he gonna think, oh, maybe I was wrong about that. Nope, he's gonna kill this guy with a pitchfork.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 5-prong pitchfork.
Yeah, he's gonna kill him, and he's still gonna be violent towards her, and this hasn't changed a thing for him.
Not one.
Why do people keep thinking that he can change?
I don't know. My big question is, he passes out from the blood loss. You run and you call the police.
Yeah, why didn't she turn
And then
in?
you get in your car and you drive away so that you're safe.
Yeah.
But no, she's dead now, and it's a huge bummer. Chayton's on his way to New Orleans, and I guess that's where we're going next week.
The 18th Ward is.
The 18th Ward, a group of red bones down there. All right, let's talk about this
heist.
This heist, which was awesome and completely different, and it's just sort of like stylistically so I've never seen anything like it. So you also spoke to Greg, Tom, and he told you a little bit about how this was shot and cut.
Well, I just sent him an email knowing the episode, obviously, and I don't have much to contribute as far as this episode goes, but I just sent an email saying, I'm sure people are going to be very interested to hear about how that comes together and the kind of work that goes into it. I know you talked to him, so if you want to start, and I'll just chime in.
Sure. So the way that they did it, all of the cameras other than the ones that they were wearing were GoPros. So GoPros mounted all over the place, and they would basically just like run the whole thing. Like they would run the whole thing, and the actors kind of would just do it themselves. Like everyone would have to like run out of the way and hide, and they could hide like maybe little cameras with or like they'd hide their iPhone and FaceTime it so that they could kind of see what was going on from far away. And like Greg was saying how like the scene in the truck, they would just be kind of sitting outside, and then they'd kind of approach the truck after a while and be like, are you guys done? And I'd be like, yeah, we're done. And then apparently, once they got the whole thing choreographed, it took very little time to shoot, especially because you're getting that much coverage. And even though there are mistakes, sometimes you kind of want the mistakes because it's supposed to be real and slam bang and whatever. And even though they were all wearing these, I believe, Panasonic HVX 500s, which were the cameras that were mounted on their heads, only one of them would be kind of the camera operator at a time. So, in this take, Hoon, you're going to be the camera operator, and they had to kind of learn to turn their head to make sure that they were getting the proper coverage. He also talked about the explosion in the tunnel. They actually didn't have the budget to actually make the thing explode, so it's like literally like Star Trek waggle cam and some trickery with the video quality. And it's so effective on screen, you'd have no idea. And it was just so well done, and like everyone from the fight coordinators to the actors to every member of the crew had to relearn their jobs essentially for this sequence, because they had to light everything practically. They had to try to figure out the fights in a different fashion so that it would work without any kind of supervision, that it would be make sense on screen. It was just crazy cool what they were doing.
I thought the best part of it was it made you feel like you were in the action. Also got a little bit of a Bond, the video game there going on with the guns pointed. But it was thrilling.
Yeah, first person shooter.
First person shooter. It was thrilling. Like Tom and I were watching it, and I'm just like, my heart's pounding. Like, and especially the use of no music through the first part until they actually get inside the place was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think there's a let up that can happen when everything's like objectively seen, but when you go into the first person, then you're telling the story that way. It really is. It's almost uncomfortable to watch because the tension gets so high. I asked Greg about some of the post stuff, and I got an email back from Alan Marshall Palmer about some of the sound, and he was pointing out to me, like, when we are on, Hoon's camera, that the sound for that is his breathing and the clothes rustling and the footsteps. But then when we pull back to the big security footage and we hear the echoey sound that would be because of the tunnels and all that stuff, basically just saying that it took forever and a lot of attention to detail because of how often it was switching perspectives on cameras. And then John Valerio chimed in about the editing, and he said just to get the first pass of that heist, he said 7 to 10 days. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And like you said about people having to relearn their jobs in a way, I know I talked to Ivana, and she said she was so concerned with making sure she got everyone else's performance, thinking about where to be and how best to use her camera. And you don't even realize how much work then has to go on in post. So it's a really good example, I guess, of a good team effort.
Absolutely.
Did Greg or, did the filmmakers say why did they choose to film it this way?
It wasn't really. He never really got into why he wanted to do it. I think it was just sort of like, we need to come up with an interesting way to tell this story visually, and in a way that hadn't been done before, and he wanted a challenge. I think that's reason enough.
Yeah, I think it just served it so well, because even like you're saying, like, well, sometimes they miss stuff, but like if you were actually in the scenario and getting beat up like Job was when Hood's like having his daydream or whatever, you wouldn't see all the punches coming. Like if you get knocked down and then he kicks you in the stomach, like you'd be disoriented.
Right.
I thought that was effective to making me feel disoriented and like I was actually in the fight.
Yeah, and it leads to new kinds of thrills, like when all of a sudden Stowe just comes out of nowhere in that tunnel. Yeah.
And
so creepy.
And Terminator-esque, taking shots to the chest and still coming.
Three shotgun blasts to the chest, and he's still going. And just like watching him, his fighting style is so frightening because it's literally dismantling you. It's like watching someone dismantle a gun, like piece by piece, and then put it back together. That is how he fights. He dismantles you. It's horrifying.
He's got some Mr. Smith or Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yes,
totally.
Absolutely.
Like really strong, deliberate.
Deliberate strikes.
Yeah.
His kicks are just so powerful. And like the whole thing is just so incredibly tense, and we've got Hood completely failing everyone. My favorite shot of the whole thing is just that shot in the truck of the computer with the 9 cameras all going at once. Once he's in the truck fighting them, and just the complete and utter chaos. It's like a building to this crescendo of chaos. And I honestly, part of me can't believe that they got away. And I think that's the beauty of shooting it this way, is when you're on the ground with them, as you were saying, Tom, it fills you with an anxiety because you feel like you're there and you have no idea how you would get out of it.
Yeah, and that fight scene with Hoon, I mean, that worked so well for me, because that is the feeling where you're watching him kind of be overmatched, and as a viewer, I'm all of a sudden like, how's he going to get out of there? How is he going to get out of there? Because like you said, you can't even see all the hits coming. It worked really, really well, I thought. And it's a big risk, because if you don't do that right and have all the coverage, it could be an epic fail.
No, it's true. I love this sequence, and I think it's going to be one that action fans are going to dissect for a very long time. All right, so that's basically everything that's going on in this episode. We have a few more minutes. I want to talk to you, Tom, about your experience on the show and about Kurt Bunker.
Yeah, and we've got some Twitter questions for Tom as well.
Oh, super. Let's get into those first.
I've got my own questions as well, but we'll get into these first. This is from Rave Alien. She says, if Bunker knew Hood's secret, what would he do?
Well, I guess if the history of the show continued, I guess I would die.
How so? Are you going to be killed off?
No, I mean, I don't think Bunker would say anything. You know, I think Bunker was in a position where obviously no one's going to give that dude a chance. I mean, only on Banshee, right? I have a swastika on my face, and the guy gives you a job. He believes in him, and I think somebody like Bunker would follow him to the grave.
Yeah.
So really quick, so Bunker's character, I mean, is he kind of like halfway through like American History X, where Edward Norton, wants to dissolve his, neo-Nazism? I mean, is that kind of the same place as Bunker, really?
Yeah, I think American History X is a really good example. And I read a book, actually, by a guy named T.J. Layden, who was very much in the neo-Nazi movement.
Wow.
Tattoos to the point where he was recruiting on a national level, and he, he had children, and he saw them start to be like him, and it disgusted him, among some other things, and he changed his mind and now speaks to, children, youth, people in high school, people who would be recruited for that kind of movement, people who are insecure, maybe looking for something like Bunker says in
something
episode
to believe
5,
in,
something to believe in, or somebody to stand up for them, or something to be a part of.
Right.
So this guy TJ now goes and speaks to those kids that he used to recruit.
Wow.
It was important for me, or really cool for me, to read something like that, because on some level you go, can that person really drop that? Can they come back? Can they decide to do something good with their lives and productive and nonviolent? Not that Bunker's necessarily nonviolent. But yeah, I think American History X is a great example of, and just a great film. But yeah, that these people can decide to change their life.
Yeah, well, and I'm sorry, before I get to these other questions, but have they either told you or have you decided personally what it was that turned him away from neo-Nazism?
We talked a little bit about it. We didn't decide anything specific.
Okay.
I decided something for myself specific, and I'm also willing to let that go if they decided something else.
Okay.
But
Cool.
yeah, I think that there was a definite moment.
Cool. You probably can't answer this one also from Ray Valian. Is Bunker going to be in season 4?
We're just going to have to stay tuned.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that was going to be the answer. This is from Adam K. He has like 3 questions. He says, whose idea was it for Bunker to speak in that calm way? Was it the script or is that you?
Well, the way it was written, obviously, it seems like Bunker has memorized half of the things he's going to say before he even talks to someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you've been thinking about every single. Yeah.
Well, that one
I understand that my appearance may be unsettling, but this is clearly not the first time this guy said this to somebody. So for me, it's the mixture of, you are fully aware of what you look like. Also, if he's a cop in Florida, he's made enough money to at least take that swastika off his face. So I'm not saying that he wants it there, but I think that there's a part of him that wants to be punished for what he did.
Yeah.
Because you could at least remove that one by
Right.
now. So if that dude is deciding to turn his life around, but keep these things on him so that he can feel the shame or embarrassment of all these things, I think it's important to him to put himself out there in a polite way and just, kind of take the beatings and not really defend himself. So the slowness and all that, I think, is just a guy who's used to people telling him to go to hell,
Right.
or yelling at him or whatever, which is why Hood is such a surprise.
Right. Will we see Bunker fight?
Yeah, you're gonna see Bunker fight.
Nice. This is also from Adam K. Which character would you love to do a scene with that you haven't done a scene with?
Oh, there's so many good ones. I would love to see him with Job.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him with Proctor. And I'm spoiled too.
But what would those scenes be then? What would the Job scene be, and what would the Proctor scene be?
I want the Job scene to be like Night on the Town.
Yeah.
Would you get dressed up and
I think Job should take him and be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing with your arms, your neck, and your face? Makeover time. Seriously, dude, you can't walk around like this."
I want that spin-off.
So, and what would the Proctor scene be?
I don't know. Maybe we'd go out and have dinner together.
Yeah.
The most
Both
awkward
uncomfortable.
dinner ever.
Yeah.
And finally from David G. Daly that says, now that Brock and Lucas are headed off to find Shaden, is Bunker essentially the law in Banshee?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because actually when we filmed 7, there was a scene that didn't make the cut. It was very fast, but right at the end of the episode, when Ant walks out with Brock, when Lucas walks out with Brock, they say okay, they start to walk out. I come in because I'm working that day, and Ant hands me the badge and says, "Bunker, you're in charge."
That's just such a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. It's hilarious to me that I didn't even consider. Oh yeah, they're leaving this town essentially unprotected. It's
Now
just
let's
you
not
and
forget
Raven.
Billy Raven's there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. So wait. So that's a hilarious thing too. Is Raven is seniority, but you're in charge.
Well, I think he's still in the hospital. I think
Alright,
he's still
fine.
recovering. He did get shot with the arrow.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't think they thought it out too much. Thought it through.
That's hysterical.
I got to talk to my favorite scene, which was I think was episode 5, where the shootout at the caddy, right? Where you're down there and the speech, which I don't even want to call it a speech because it was so wonderfully done, so effective, just great exposition. But you find out so much about the character, and I just love the way that you delivered it.
Oh, thanks.
No question, just oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing with that was it was important that, obviously, given what Afton's character says about what happened to her father and her when she was young, that Bunker's explanation of why he chose to go down this road didn't come off like, "Oh, poor me," or "I'm a victim," or "feel bad for me." you know, we just worked with OC to make sure that the idea or the energy for the scene was for me to calm her down.
Right.
Like, you're okay, you're safe with me here. Also, if intellectually you need to understand why I made this choice in the beginning, not that it justifies anything, but if you need to understand it, which is fair, I will give you the information about why and when this happened. And, you know, Afton's just so fantastic and did such a good job that, you know, I think the scene works pretty well.
I know that it's completely wrong, but I so want you two to get together on the show. It makes so much sense to me. For whatever reason, it does. I guess my final question is: are we going to learn more about Bunker or see anyone from his past by the end of this season?
Yeah, the writers will visit a little more of Bunker specifically before the end of this season, without giving anything away. And it's great stuff that's coming up for me that I got to do. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, really quick, what's important to you of taking a role like this? Like, for me personally, if somebody said, I mean, yes, it's a great opportunity, but if someone said, hey, Monis, yes, you get this huge role on Banshee and you have to, though, cover yourself with, swastikas, I'll be very, very apprehensive. I'm going to have to really, really think about it. Like, what's important for this role for you and taking it and, going forward?
I think it's important in the sense of not where he came from, but where he's going. Like in anything, to show that any of us, without getting on some kind of soapbox or being corny, that you can turn your life around. That no matter what you've done or what you've been through or what choices you've made in the past, and like I said, reading that book about TJ and knowing that this is something that people can actually do, then it becomes, what a great opportunity for me to try and live through that and show that. And the writers give that character the opportunity to show people, you can decide to stop what you're doing if it's fucked up or if it's unhealthy or if you're hurting people, and you can choose to live your life a different way. So I don't even think about the swastikas or any of that in a negative way, because it's not me.
Yeah.
But it's a great opportunity to show, someone getting some redemption, which seems to be the Banshee theme.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that, the redemption thing. And also, just real quick, is that the reason why he came back to Banshee? Because that's where he...
I think so. I mean, come on. Like I said, not taking that one off his face and coming back to the town that he grew up in, where he knows some of the guys that are still there.
Yeah.
Those are the guys he came up with in this movement. So, I think that's a very deliberate decision to get. I either want full cleanse or die trying.
Right on.
All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so we need to go to predictions.
Yeah.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right, we got 3 episodes left this season. Monis, what do you think's happening?
Well, first of all, we already have the predictions. First of all, Bunker is going to go on the night in the town with Joe, and he's also going to have a big, huge, awkward meal with no. But seriously, what I would actually really like to see, now that Gordon is getting back in the game and becoming the mayor, first of all, I think it's going to be going more towards a political thing. Also, I would actually like to maybe see some, besides getting like a new sheriff, or whatever, but dealing, say, instead of just a new sheriff in town, what about a new mayor? What if like Hood or someone wants like a new election might be coming up or brewing? I feel I would like that now that, to someone to even get in Gordon's way even more, as he's, feeling that mayoral filling in his duties that were lost.
Isaac?
We have a new Sheriff Bunker.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. With this Chaden getting his comeuppance, that's what I want.
Yeah.
He's a stone cold killer now. I mean, he's been a stone cold killer before, but that's what I want to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, what do I want? I want to see Chayden get his, and I want to see what on earth, what kind of hellfire Stowe is going to rain down on our happy heroes. That is what I'm interested in. Unfortunately, folks, we are out of time, so we got to wrap this up. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so awesome having you. Are you on Twitter at all? Where can the people find you?
At Tom Pelphrey.
All right, and that's Pelphrey. Correct. Anything else coming up that you want people to know about?
No.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming here. Monis, where can the people find you?
Find me on Twitter at RestFiction. That stands for restaurantfiction.com. Also iTunes or Restaurant Fiction.
Okay, and Isaac?
You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson. Thank you.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. You can find videos on my personal channel, youtube.com/c/Matt Lieberman, SourceFed Nerd. And I'm here doing Better Call Saul. We're going to go live in about an hour, if you were watching this live, on YouTube with special guest Ray Seahorn. Thank you all so much. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Banshees rule!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.